This is Linda Favela, Jeremiah 21. So far, we haven't had much indication of time in this book. For the most part, we haven't known what year Jeremiah received his prophecies or who was king at the time, and for all we knew, the book was in chronological order. Now, in this chapter, it starts to become apparent that the book is not in chronological order, because suddenly we're landing in this chapter in the last couple of years of the kingdom of Judah. It's late in Jeremiah's ministry. If he was 18 years old in chapter 1, which is a good guess because he said he was a youth, then from the 13th year of King Josiah when he started to the 9th or 10th year of Zedekiah, which is where we are now, that will make Jeremiah about 60 years old in this chapter. He's been prophesying the destruction of the kingdom his entire adult life. The situation now is that King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon has already set siege to Jerusalem twice before and was victorious both times. Now in this chapter, Nebuchadnezzar is setting siege for the third time. The history of it all is in 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles. So now with the siege, the situation is desperate. The city is locked up, of course, and King Zedekiah of Judah wants Jeremiah's help. He wants him to use his influence and get Yahweh to do a miracle. And by the way, Pashur, the son of Malchijah, in verse 1, is not Pashur, the son of Immer, who put Jeremiah in stocks in the last chapter. So during the siege, verse 1, the word which came to Jeremiah from Yahweh when King Zedekiah sent to him Pashur, the son of Malchijah, and Zephaniah, the son of Maaseiah, the priest, saying, Please inquire of Yahweh for us, for Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, makes war against us. Perhaps Yahweh will deal with us according to all his wondrous works, that he may withdraw from us. Comment in verses 1 and 2, King Zedekiah sent 2 men to Jeremiah with a request. The request was essentially, please pray to Yahweh. Maybe he'll do a miracle and Nebuchadnezzar will withdraw. Jeremiah's reply to the messengers was, verse 3. Then Jeremiah said to them, Tell Zedekiah, Yahweh the God of Israel says, Behold, I'll turn back the weapons of war that are in your hands, with which you fight against the king of Babylon and against the Chaldeans who besiege you outside the walls, and I'll gather them into the middle of this city. I myself will fight against you with an outstretched hand and with a strong arm, even in anger, in wrath, and in great indignation. I'll strike the inhabitants of this city, both man and animal. They'll die of great pestilence. Comment in verses 3 to 6, Jeremiah replied to King Zedekiah in the form of a prophecy. It was basically, Thus says Yahweh, I'll turn back your weapons, which means I'll make your weapons ineffective. Then I'll gather them into the middle of the city, which means Yahweh will gather the Babylonian army in the middle of the city. In verse 5, Yahweh himself will fight against Jerusalem in his anger, wrath, and great indignation. Yahweh will strike the inhabitants. They'll die of great pestilence, meaning they'll die of infectious disease. We might speculate that starvation will make their immune systems weak and disease will spread. It'll be Yahweh striking them in verse 6. Jeremiah's message to the messengers goes on, verse 7. Afterwards, says Yahweh, I'll deliver Zedekiah, king of Judah, his servants and the people, even those who are left in this city, from the pestilence, from the sword, and from the famine, into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of those who seek their life. He'll strike them with the edge of the sword. He'll not spare them, have pity or have mercy. Comment in verse 7, as we said, this is the third and final siege. It lasted 19 months, 2 Kings 25. All that time, the Babylonian troops and their allies were camped around the city. And what were they thinking, living outdoors for 19 months? Certainly they were frustrated that the people of Jerusalem didn't surrender. And this is their third time coming here and dealing with these people. So when they finally break in, it'll be in fury with a lot of pent-up frustration. As Yahweh just said in verse 7, death will come several ways, by famine, pestilence, and when the troops finally break in, by the sword. They'll swing the sword at everything that moves. The account was that they had, quote, no compassion on young man or virgin, old man or gray-headed, 2 Chronicles 36:17. It'll turn out, as Yahweh just predicted in verse 7, that Nebuchadnezzar, quote, will not spare them, have pity, or have mercy, end quote. Going on with Yahweh's message to the messengers, verse 8, You shall say to this people, Yahweh says, Behold, I set before you the way of life and the way of death. He who remains in this city will die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he who goes out and passes over to the Chaldeans who besiege you, he will live, and he'll escape with his life. For I've set my face on this city for evil, and not for good, says Yahweh. It will be given into the hand of the king of Babylon, and he'll burn it with fire. Comment in verses 8 and 9, Yahweh says, Anyone who wants to live should surrender. Climb over the wall or open up one of the gates and walk out. Find some way to escape the city and surrender, because in verse 9, He who remains in the city will die, but he who goes out will live. In verse 10, make no mistake, Yahweh will certainly give the city over to the king of Babylon, and the king of Babylon will put the city to the torch. Verse 11. Concerning the house of the king of Judah, hear Yahweh's word. House of David, Yahweh says, Execute justice in the morning, and deliver him who's robbed out of the hand of the oppressor, lest my wrath go out like fire, and burn so that no one can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. Comment in verse 11, the house of David is the king and the royal family. In verse 12, the royals should execute justice in the city, lest Yahweh's wrath go out against them like fire. Verse 13. Behold, I am against you, O inhabitant of the valley and of the rock of the plain, says Yahweh, you that say, Who would come down against us, or who would enter into our homes? Comment in verse 12, Yahweh says in the message to the messengers that he's against the inhabitant of the valley and rock of the plain. Then he clarifies himself that he's speaking to anyone who has it in his mind that they'll go on inhabiting this place. Such a one says in his heart, Who'll come down against us, and who'll invade our homes? They're wearing rose-colored glasses. They're thinking Yahweh will protect them and no one will come against them and break into their homes. They've been poisoned by false prophecy. Coming up, Yahweh says that instead of protecting them, verse 14, I'll punish you according to the fruit of your doings, says Yahweh, and I'll kindle a fire in her forest, and it will devour all that is around her. Comment in verse 14, speaking to anyone living under the delusion of safety, Yahweh says, in your mind it's as if you live in a protected forest, but I'll set fire to that forest and burn you out. Jeremiah 22 is next.